Good evening, barflies and lounge lizards, and welcome to Late Night Video. And tonight we'll be taking a look at Chandu the Magician from 1932. Directed by William Cameron Mingus of Invaders from Mars and the Spider fame, as well as Marcel Varnell, Chandu the Magician is a sci-fi fantasy, a mix of magic and mysticism with good old-fashioned serial sci-fi. It's essentially an early superhero film with touches of Indiana Jones and Sherlock Holmes, and it tells the story of an evil madman who kidnaps a scientist along with his super death ray in order to take over the world. And in comes Frank Chandler, aka Chandu, a magic-wielding yogi who has been sent forth to conquer the evil that threatens mankind. Thus Chandu begins a quest full of action and adventure to save the world. Not to mention that Chandu is quite the snazzy dresser. Just look at that mustache. On a first glance, one would think he was the villain of the picture. The film stars Edmund Lowe as our lead, Chandu. Lowe, who began in vaudeville and silent films, would go on to appear in over 100 films, though this appears to be his only sci-fi film, at least that I could find. But probably more important to patrons of the lounge is our villain, the sharply dressed madman Roxor, and Roxor is played by Mr. Bela Lugosi, who you probably know best from Bride of the Monster, but he was also in Son of Frankenstein as Igor, a role in which he originated. He was Fritz in the original Frankenstein, and of course, the Phantom Creeps. Then we have Irene Ware as Chandu's sorta love interest. Miss Ware was also in the 1935 version of The Raven. She was a stenographer turned beauty queen turned actress. Chandu was her second starring role in the film that made her a star. The effects in this one are incredible for the time and still look darn good even today. The shots with Miggle's conscience in particular are real standouts, as is the scene where the snake turns into a gun. Not to mention the film just had a real great look and vibe all around, from the sets all the way to the costumes. The director had a background in art direction, having worked on The Thief of Baghdad, and it shows. There are just lots of really neat looking scenes in the picture. Chandu the Magician was actually based on a radio play of the same name which aired in the early 30s. There are contradictory claims of when it actually began though, some sources saying 31, others saying 32. But it would prove so popular that Fox would get the rights for $40,000 and quickly go into production in order to capitalize on that Chandu mania. They moved so quickly on it that the radio drama was still running at the time of the film's release. It would also get a sequel, sorta. In 1934, a 12-part serial, The Return of Chandu, was made and released in various ways. One of which, other than the weekly format, was the editing together of episodes to form features. The first 4 made up the film of the same name. Then the final 8 were edited together and released as Chandu on Magic Island. But the most interesting thing about The Return of Chandu is it saw the return of Bela Lugosi, only this time Bela would play Chandu himself, not Roxor. As mentioned, the character of Chandu was quite popular and influential. Stan Lee of Marvel Comics once said that he enjoyed the serial as a child, and Chandu was the inspiration for Doctor Strange. And for fans of prop trivia, the lab set in the film featured the work of set designer and special effects artist Ken Strickfaden of Frankenstein fame, and it is said that certain props were even reused from Dr. Frankenstein's lab. It's a bit wacky. Though mostly serious, the character of Miggles is a lovable drunk and the comic relief, and the aforementioned scenes of him talking to his conscience are quite enjoyable. Chandu the Magician has been released on DVD and Blu-ray, yet not VHS, and oddly, The Return of Chandu did get a VHS release. I give this one 3.5, maybe even closer to 4 gun snakes out of 5. This is a great, really unique, early kind of superhero type film. If you're a fan of the genre or you're a fan of Bela Lugosi, I highly recommend this one. And that's all the time we have this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, and keep it wacky.